In the dining hall of Casium, the mood was light with casual conversation filling the air. Landro turned to his sister. "You should eat the carrots," he said. "I don't want to," Lena replied flatly. Across the table, Ethel clenched her teeth, silently watching the exchange. Landro sighed. "You need to eat well." Lena shrugged, poking at her plate with a fork. "I don't like them. And I won't die if I don't eat them." With a smile tugging at the corner of his lips, Landro asked, "Why don't you like carrots?" Before Lena could respond, the Duke's voice thundered through the hall. "No one has the right to force my daughter to eat something she doesn't like," he barked, rising to his feet. He turned to the servants. "Anyone who puts dishes she dislikes on the table again can consider themselves unemployed." The servants trembled, their eyes wide as they bowed their heads toward their furious master. "Father!" Lena shouted, rising abruptly. Tears welled in her eyes. "Please calm down. You can't fire people over something so small. You're not like this." The Duke cleared his throat, awkwardly settling back into his chair. "This time, I'll ignore what just happened." Her brothers exchanged glances, amazed by their little sister's boldness. In their eyes, she was still as innocent as a rabbit. Ethel, however, seethed. She couldn't understand what any of this had to do with a 20-year-old woman. Landro noticed the change in his wife's demeanor. There was a strange aura about her. Concern flickered in his expression. "Are you feeling unwell?" he asked. "I'm fine," Ethel replied quietly, though her appetite had long vanished. She couldn't exactly say it was because of them. Landro turned to his sister again. "Come on, eat the carrots. I'll give you something in return." "I'll give you something too," Ro chimed in with a grin. Lena frowned. "Why do you both want to give me gifts? It's not a special day." Landro nudged his brother. "What about a gift for your wife? She looks upset." Ethel raised an eyebrow. "You prepared a gift for me?" she asked. Landro looked at her, confused. "What gift? Today's just an ordinary day, isn't it?" Ethel stared at her husband in disbelief. "Today is our wedding anniversary," she said quietly. "Exactly 2 years." His eyes widened as the realization hit him. Ro and Lena burst into laughter. "You're a terrible husband," Ro teased. "How do you forget something like that?" The Duke sighed. "When you start a family, you need to take care of it." Ethel stood abruptly, anger radiating from her. She didn't understand why everyone was acting like this was a joke. "It's not just about forgetting," she snapped. Landro rubbed the back of his neck. "It's not entirely my fault. I forgot, okay?" Ethel stared at him. "Is it that hard to apologize?" He raised an eyebrow. "Is there some law requiring husbands to give their wives gifts on their anniversary?" She was stunned, too angry to speak. For a moment, she wondered how she'd ever thought she was lucky. She had believed she'd been given a second chance when she found herself inside her favorite novel after the car accident, reborn as Lena, the Duke's youngest daughter, and surrounded by love. But this was not the story she'd read. Ethel Wallace was now the wife of Landro, Lena's older brother, a minor supporting character in the novel. Landro had always been her favorite, the perfect man, capable, composed, handsome. Even if theirs had been a marriage of convenience, she had thought being part of the ducal family would be a blessing. At the very least, it was a front-row seat to the unfolding plot. But reality was far from fiction. Landro folded his arms. "An anniversary is something you celebrate together. Besides, you didn't get me anything either." Ethel felt slapped. In the novel, she hadn't viewed the story from her own point of view. He'd left her alone on their honeymoon. Her first anniversary gift was sent through an assistant. Still smiling tightly, she said, "Today is also my birthday. I just wanted to spend it with you." Landro gave her a cold look. "I'm busy." Her smile faltered. "Would you at least take a walk with me?" "I'm going for a walk with my sister," he snapped. Ethel's heart clenched. She had always been left behind. She had never thought he would treat her as if she were nobody. Landro shrugged. "So it's not my fault. Before he could finish, something small and wrapped flew across the room and smacked him in the face. Everyone froze. Ethel stood still, her gaze burning into him. "I want a divorce," she screamed. Landro stared at her, stunned. "What?" "I want a divorce. As soon as possible." The Duke stood up. "Are you serious?" She didn't look back at them. "Goodbye." The maids hurried after her, but Ethel was already walking away. Even as she left, she knew she couldn't forget herself. But she wasn't going to walk away empty-handed. Later, Ro entered the room. "Wife," he called gently, "are you serious about the divorce?" Ethel didn't even glance at him. "I've made myself clear." Landro blocked her path. "Why?" "Because I forgot the anniversary." "You think that's the only reason?" she asked, stepping back. Landro sighed. "We're not the ideal couple. This was a marriage of convenience." "I know that." "Then what is the reason?" He gestured toward a nearby chair, where a pristine white gown lay draped. "Look to the side. That dress, every time I see you wear it, I remember our wedding and how happy I was." Ethel looked at it coldly. "I hate that dress. It's not mine." He blinked. "What are you talking about?" "A few months before the wedding, we had a fitting at the duchy. I never chose that dress. While you were reading a book, you told me it looked good, and that was that." She could still recall the way his eyes barely lifted from the pages. Her parents had been thrilled she was marrying a duke. Her brother had told her she was destined for greatness. None of them really cared what she wanted. But at least she'd had a chance to choose a dress for herself. Then Lena had burst into the fitting room, all smiles. "Can I try it on too?" she had asked sweetly, eyes sparkling. Ethel hadn't known what to say. "It looks so cute," Lena had said, running her hands down the fabric. Ethel had understood her. She had once done the same thing, trying on gowns she had no intention of buying. Landro had looked confused. "Didn't you try that one on?" "No," Ethel snapped. "That was your sister, not me. I would never mistake my wife for someone else." "Oh, really? Are you saying I'm stupid? I think you made up a story that never happened." Ethel froze. "Are you calling me a liar?" "I didn't say that," he muttered. "But, despite the similarities between you two, it's easy to be confused." She shook her head in disbelief. "You really can't tell the difference between me and your sister." He was still looking at her, confused. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" "Because it wouldn't matter." He frowned. "All I asked for was a gift from my wife. You responded by asking for a divorce." She looked him straight in the eye. "That's because it shows where I stand in this house. You haven't changed at all since the wedding." "And what was I like before?" she asked. "Go ahead, point out the inconsistencies." He didn't answer. Ethel realized then, this family had never truly made space for her. She was just another presence, convenient but not welcome. Landro finally spoke. "My family is unusually close-knit. And I'm not part of it. So I'll leave." He reached for her, but she slapped his hand away and shoved him back. "I'll prepare the divorce papers. You'll just need to sign them." "Ethel," he shouted. "Stop. I've heard enough of your nonsense," she snapped. He blinked, stunned. "What did you just say?" She turned, voice sharp and final. "You're a nobody." Then she left. Downstairs, the servants watched in silence. Lena and Lihim approached her, disbelief on their faces. "You're not really going to divorce our brother, are you?" Lena asked. The Duke stepped forward. "You don't have to do this." But Ethel didn't stop. She walked out of the estate. Later, she collapsed onto the bed of her temporary room with a small, tired smile. Her packing had been hurried, imperfect, but it didn't matter. Comfort could come later. First, she needed to get a divorce. Back at the estate, Ro turned to Landro. "You're just going to let her go?" Landro looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean your wife," Ro said. "You're really letting her leave?" Landro waved it off. "She'll come back." Ro frowned. "She asked for a divorce. She's just angry. A wise woman like her, she'll calm down. Our marriage didn't start with love, Landro muttered. So it won't end that easily. Ro stared at him. Are you sure about that? He asked. Landro only smiled. Lena had once said that her brother would survive anything, that he always found a way. Ro understood his brother better than anyone. He knew that, in just the right moment, their sister would always drop some piece of useful information, something that caught people off guard. And surprisingly, everything she said usually turned out to be true. Landro sighed deeply. I won't allow a divorce, he muttered. A knock came at the door. Young master, are you awake? The butler asked, his voice muffled. Before he could finish, Landro opened the door. The butler called out, Wait, sir. But it wasn't the butler standing there. It was the postman. Landro blinked, confused. You're not, wait, where is my wife? The postman looked at him, just as bewildered. I was told to give you this, sir. He handed over a sealed envelope. Landro tore it open and stared down at the document inside. It was a divorce agreement. His breath caught. He was in shock. A short while later, he stormed into the place where Ethel had agreed to meet him. Fury burned in his chest as he spotted her. She turned, startled by his sudden appearance. You sent me divorce papers, he snapped. She raised an eyebrow, calm but cold. Did you think I sent them as a joke? His fists clenched. Do you really want to leave me? Why are you pretending to care now? She asked, exasperated. I've been worried sick, he shouted, stepping closer. I didn't ask for your concern. Their voices grew louder, echoing in the space. He seemed stunned that she dared shout back. I thought about a lot after you left, Landro said, his voice quieter now. Ethel crossed her arms. Then sign the papers. He froze. I don't understand how you can act like this. Because your apologies mean nothing. Are you trying to make yourself the victim now? He asked bitterly. She looked him dead in the eye. No. I'm just making sure I never have to see your face again. Landro's mouth twitched into a grin. Well, that's too bad. I accidentally tore the papers. Good thing I prepared extra copies, she replied with a cool smile, pulling another set from her bag. You can tear up all you want, he said, but it won't matter. I won't agree to divorce you. Then we'll go to court. You can't take this to court. Why not? You think I can't remove you and your family from my life? She raised her voice, loud enough for the nearby townsfolk to hear. I want a divorce. Gasps echoed down the street. The Duke's family name carried weight, and now, the scandal had begun. Landro stepped in close. What are you doing? Ethel smirked. Waiting to see who breaks first. She knew she couldn't win quietly, this would be a messy war. But she no longer cared about preserving dignity. She thought ahead, trying to imagine the questions she'd be asked in court. One might be about finances. Landro had continued giving her 5,000 gold coins each month. At first glance, he seemed like a decent husband. But there was something else, something serious enough to justify divorce. She wasn't ready to bring it up with a lawyer yet. Landro ran a hand through his hair. I'm not good at expressing my feelings. But I love you. She was thrown. Why are you doing this? Because it's the truth. I married you because I loved you. That's not true, she snapped. There were families with higher status than mine. I know why you married me, because of the abandoned mines. He flinched. She went on, voice sharp. You married me because you wanted to acquire the land the mines sat on. My family abandoned them years ago when the ore began to deteriorate. But I know, as do you, that those mines will become valuable again, golden eggs. His face paled. I know this because I read the novel, she whispered. Landro looked stunned. How do you know that? You let it slip when you were drunk, she said. You don't remember it. But I do. Landro opened his mouth but couldn't speak. You told me you married me for Lena. So she could have a better life. He winced. That's how it started. But I fell in love with you. After we met. Then why did you leave me alone after the wedding? Her voice cracked with pain. You left me. On our honeymoon. You sent our anniversary gift through an assistant. Landro couldn't reply. I've heard lies before, but that one's the worst, she said bitterly. Do you think I'm a fool? He stepped forward, reaching for her hand. Please, let me explain. She pulled away. Are you upset because you won't be able to get your hands on the mines anymore? Is that it? Landro looked genuinely hurt, but she continued. They belong to me. They're my dowry. If anything, my father should reclaim them before handing them to you. New technology had made deep extraction more viable. The mines still held precious ore, but accessing it required time and resources. Her family hadn't sent her any documents about ownership yet, but she had prepared for this. She'd already heard rumors that the family accountant had collapsed from overwork. Still, she needed to finalize the divorce fast, before pressure from her in-laws grew. To clear her head, she walked to the forest of travelers on the outskirts of the territory. Suddenly, a bird shot up from the trees, startling her. Then she heard it, footsteps. Peering through the trees, she saw him, Marquis Turen Fryden, the main villain of the novel. She froze. Turen Fryden, one of the most powerful nobles in the empire, whose true identity was long concealed. Ethel knew his history, but she hadn't expected to meet him so soon. Panic surged. She needed a plan. Perhaps, she could say she had lost her memory. But before she could speak, his voice rang out coldly. If a man values his life, he'd better show himself. He drew his sword in a flash. A crash echoed nearby. A tree splintered just feet from where she stood. Another man leapt from the shadows, sword raised. Turen met the attack with grace and fury. The assailant tried to land a blow, but the Marquis sidestepped, then countered with lightning precision. Turen scoffed. Is that all you've got? He muttered. He dispatched the mercenary with ease. Ethel trembled behind a tree. Her legs gave out and she tumbled backward, falling off a short cliff. She braced for impact, but was caught. Opening her eyes, she saw Turen holding her tightly. Up close, he was breathtakingly handsome. She scrambled from his grasp. Thank you, she stammered. What are you doing in a place like this? He asked. I must have taken a wrong path, she lied. The forest is on the opposite side of the road. She swallowed. I came on an errand. What kind? It's personal. He frowned. All you'll find in this area are wandering mercenaries. She knew he suspected her. Time to pivot. Well, I'm actually trying to hire a few mercenaries, she admitted. I left my husband. He says he'll never let me go. I'm afraid he'll come after me. He considered her. You're a noble woman. I can't afford a personal knight, she said. I see, he replied. Then I apologize. I didn't know your circumstances. You've already helped me. I should be going. They walked together for a while. She stumbled slightly and looked up at a tree, remembering how the branch had split. You're very skilled, she said, stealing a sideways glance at him. He smiled. You won't regret hiring me. She blinked. Wait, what? I'm a mercenary. I'm looking for work. I can't pay much. I'll take the minimum, he replied easily. She paused. This could be the perfect chance to stay close and gather intel. All right, she said. You're hired. His expression softened. Call me Thea. She was startled. So this was Turen Fryden, the villain, now her bodyguard. She knew she had to hide her marriage. If he found out she was Landro's wife, he'd become suspicious. So she gave him her maiden name instead. No need for formality, Thea said. I was born to a humble family. No surname. He was lying, effortlessly. She smiled anyway. As they walked, she studied him. He truly was attractive. If this had been just a novel or an illustration, she might have picked him from the start. Where are you staying? He asked. A small hotel. Then I'll stay there too, he offered. I can pay for your room and service once a week. I'll manage, he replied. But thank you. She raised an eyebrow. Do you even have money? He cleared his throat. Let's just say, I appreciate your kindness. She could tell he wasn't used to accepting help, even when it was needed. Later that night, Thea sat in a chair, watching over her as she slept peacefully in the hotel bed. He frowned at her. Why had he caught her earlier? It was unlike him. He didn't understand why, but something about her intrigued him. Sighing, he penned a note. He'd be delayed on his next mission. For now, he had a job to do. In the morning, Ethel entered a local shop to buy medicinal herbs for tea. She noticed the Marquis was rubbing his temples. His weakness, headaches. It was the price of divine power, a curse given to those in the imperial bloodline. Terence and Crown Prince Michael, both sons of the Emperor, had not been spared. Terence had been the Emperor's firstborn, his mother the Marquis of Mu. But after the Emperor's brother died, the second prince ascended, and the Marquis vanished, rumored to have fled with a coachman she loved. Years later, she returned with her son. Terence. Kidnapped on the orders of the Emperor and the Duke, she was never vindicated. Her child, Terence, bore imperial blood, but was never acknowledged. He was meant to be crown prince. But a conspiracy stole that from him. Now, Terence lived in shadows. And the more power he wielded, the more the pain grew. He relied on Devil's Claw, a dangerous drug. So did Lena. Both had been cursed. Ethel bought the herbs. A tea brewed from them could ease the pain. In the novel, Lena discovered the remedy much later, but Ethel would be the first. She handed the bag to him. Shall we go? She asked with a warm smile. She'd thought about using Terrence's power to secure a divorce and escape the Empire. But now that she'd met him, her plans were changing. He asked why she needed holy water. I want to brew something special, she answered casually. Suddenly, his expression shifted. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her aside. What are you? Tell me what's going on, she whispered. He leaned in close, his breath warm against her ear. Quiet, he murmured. Ethel's heart pounded. He was too close. A moment later, Ethel saw a familiar face in the crowd. Her eyes widened. Tara. Ethel's heart skipped a beat. Had she been following me this whole time? Before she could speak, Thea drew his sword, lunging at the girl without hesitation. Tara dodged, retaliated with quick movements, but within seconds Thea had her pinned to the ground, blade at her throat. Why are you following us? He demanded. Tara cried out, My lady, help me. Thea glanced back at Ethel, surprised. You know her. She's a maid from my husband's household, Ethel said evenly. Tara, still trembling beneath Thea's blade, gasped, I saw you, and followed you. I have something to say. If that were true, Ethel replied, voice sharp, you wouldn't have been stalking me in secret. Her gaze narrowed. Was it Lena? Did she send you? Tara looked up, confused. Why would my mistress do that? You've followed me before, Ethel said coldly. Always watching. Always trying to find something to report. That's your job, isn't it? Tara flinched. Lena's loyal dog. Tara's family had once been given land in return for their undying loyalty, but it had been a trap. That same night, they lost their home, and Tara lost everything. In Lena's first life, Tara had eventually snapped, retaliated, and been executed for murdering a noble. After returning to the past, Lena, who had never known Tara, sought her out and offered her the means to exact revenge. Tara's obsessive devotion and talent for information gathering had made her an ideal weapon. Now, Thea held his knife at Tara's throat. Shall I finish her? Ethel raised a hand. Leave us. I want to speak to her alone. The Marquis nodded. I'll move far enough not to hear. Tara looked stunned as Ethel approached. If you're willing to cooperate, Ethel said softly, I'll tell you where to find the man you want dead. The Viscount. Tara's eyes widened in disbelief. How do you know that? Ethel only smiled. It's a secret. Then tell me this, Ethel continued. How does your mistress know everything if she's not God? Tara scowled. Even if she has power like hers, it doesn't matter. She's still my benefactor. When the time comes, she'll tell me everything. You trust her blindly, Ethel said. She's lying to you. Shut up. Tara hissed. Not even curious about what I know? Ethel asked. Tara's silence was answer enough. I want you to tell Lena something for me. That's it. Tara blinked. It's a reasonable request. I'll give you what you want in 2 months. Tara studied her carefully, uncertain. Lena doesn't deliberately hide things, Ethel thought. She just conveniently knows what others don't. Alla's identity, the stock market's future, it all fits. Ethel's goal was simple: plant seeds of suspicion. If she could drive a wedge between Tara and Lena, at least until the divorce, it would be enough. As Thea returned, he asked with mild amusement, was the conversation productive? You looked like you forgot I existed. Ethel raised a brow. Were you eavesdropping? I wouldn't dare. Orders are orders. She chuckled. Perhaps I should invite my loyal bodyguard to dinner. He gave a mock bow. Gladly. They made their way to the hotel.